Esports going to drop. But Galleon's dishing out damage in the back line. It's not quite enough. He knocks them up. Huge engage from Yeso, but a bigger knockup from Kane. That is a gigantic CC chain. Triple kill for Phoenix.
Edition of Playoff Hypes for DUO Esports, where we interview each of the top 4 teams who made it into the Season 3 of the BSG Competitive Series Playoffs. Today, I am here with the number 1 seed of the Baron Division. My name is Seaver, and I'm here with Jester of Time, support for Conqueror, and Phoenix, mid laner for Conqueror Esports. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Doing all right.
Good. I'm chilling.
You guys had a good day? Did you catch the All-Star game today?
Oh yeah, I watched those spicy memes.
The spicy memes coming from both sides really was something enjoyable to watch. Hopefully everyone was able to make it into that and catch a little glimpse of the All-Stars going at each other's throats. So, gentlemen, I've brought you here today to announce that you guys, for your first showing in the DUO Esports League, you guys were able to push through every single team and get the first seed in the Baron Division. And really, to me, it was surprising. I didn't expect this much talent from a new team to dominate your guys' league this much, and for you guys to come out on top and secure that number 1 spot. Really, that speaks numbers to me, and really, I am excited to see what you guys can do in best of 3s format. Really, it's an honor to have you guys here today. So I just wanted to bring you guys here, ask you a few questions, see if you can answer them for me and to the viewers right now. See why we should vote for Conqueror to go ahead and win it all. So I'm going to ask both of you a series of questions. Hopefully you can answer it the best of your ability. And let's go ahead. I want to start with Jester of Time. Question for you, how did you get into BSG? So tell me about your little journey of how you were looking through like the forums, or you heard your buddy say, hey, why don't you go ahead, join this team, we're going to see if we can become the new LCS team. So tell me about your experience through getting to BSG.
It was kind of like a little journey for myself. I started off on another team maybe about a couple of months ago. You know, we were pretty good in that one. You know, we won most of our games, actually. I don't think we were defeated. And that whole server just shut down. So Rut picked me up. He said, hey, you want to be our support? I said, yeah. You know, and then he asked if I knew of an ADC, and he asked me about Sparky, and he came along too. So we ended up, you know, being duo in the beginning.
And then it was just, from there on out, you're just like, oh, if I'm part of a BSG team, might as well just play it, like get in the little competitive spirit. All right, I like that. That's good. That's good. So, I don't know if this would be a question that you would honestly know, but to your best knowledge, hopefully, your coach or your owner. Too bad he couldn't be here today, but hopefully you can give me some insight on this. So, how did you guys get your starting lineup? How did you get an all-star top laner, an all-star jungler, and almost, I seen the voting, almost an all-star mid laner.
Unfortunate.
Hopefully, I was so upset to not see the 3 best performing players on Conqueror on the all-star team. I was so upset after that. Tell me how you guys all met, or how you guys got together to form this team.
You went into this? You okay? All right. So I basically, like I said, I joined the team, and I can only speak from the bot side because, you know, I came halfway through the beginning of the season. But for the bot side, when I got here, it was me and Sparky, and then, you know, that didn't work out. So then we went through a whole list of ADCs that we just tried, didn't really mesh together. And we got Jocko after a while, you know, started really feeling well. We carried all our games to the top side already, you know, and then we had a complete bot side, so it felt even better.
So as soon as you were able to find that synergy with that new ADC, you guys were just starting to click, and then from there on out, it was just easy
felt
street.
Really good.
You know, we're following the yellow brick road on the playoffs.
Yep, felt really good.
That's good. That's good. So, was there any issues coming from the preseason? So, like, I know once you guys actually had your team, you of course had Sparky down in the bot lane with you guys, but then I believe it was the mid-season where he left, or was it like in the early season?
It was. I'll just answer that part and then Jester can go on. It was just after I think the first or second loss that we had. I think after the skill cap game or the game that we lost after skill cap, which I think might have been Lobster Gang. I think that's when Sparky left sometime around like early mid-season.
Right. So after he left, then you found that new synergy. You guys did really well throughout the remainder of the season. Sure, you hicked up on 1 or 2 games, but hell, you guys still made first place. I'm not even gonna harp on you guys about that. But during the preseason, how was it like? Like, how were you feeling about this team? Like, were you excited that, hey, we're gonna go into this BSG season, we're gonna have a strong team, we're gonna show these casters and these so-called specialists about like DUO Esports and whatnot, like you were gonna show them and put their money where their mouth was. So just run through that.
When I joined the team, it was still pretty early, so I guess the vibe, like everybody had high energy. They wanted to win. You know, everybody came in with their strongest champions. You know, they pull bans now through the top lane. You know, that's the energy they're showing through those champions. That ban is that energy, you know. So they gotta find something else. You know, they brought that energy to other champions, and we all just bring all of our skills throughout the game that we had planned from the beginning.
Right.
You know, so like whenever something gets banned, we're like, that's great. That shows we did something good with that champion. We're doing something right.
Right.
So if it gets banned and we can keep getting bans like that, it still shows that we're doing something right.
Right, especially if you go into any scrim or you are facing any other team, if they prioritize like one specific lane, saying, okay, we're gonna ban Rutledge's Alawi, we'll ban Gimpy's Vi, or we'll ban Jester's one of your support champions. Like, if they were able to focus ban one of your teammates' laners, that in itself speaks numbers. It shows that other teams fear you guys, and it shows that other teams are trying to do anything that they can to get a win off of you guys. And really, that, like I said, that speaks numbers. I'm glad you guys actually had that well-put hype, or that early hype at the beginning of the season, and I'm glad to hear that you guys were excited to get the season started. And of course, you guys came out storming. I believe it was the first week you guys actually faced Naughty Nips, which were the Season 2 champions from last season. And then for some reason, like, everyone was like questioning, like, what the hell is this Naughty Nips team? Like, this isn't Naughty Nips at all. And you guys were just pounding it down their throats, and it was a sight to see. I was really surprised that Conqueror was able to do that. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead. We'll move on to Phoenix now. We'll let you rest your voice a little bit, Jester. So Phoenix.
What's up?
First question for you. Kind of similar to first question for Jester. Like, how did you get into BSG? Like, tell us your Rambo story.
My journey here. All right. So it all started in another league. Tivo was a player in that league as well. So I knew of him, but I never spoke with him. And then eventually he came to me because the season for that other league ended. He asked me if I wanted to play in the league for his team, so I said, yeah, sure, of course. So that's how I came to Conqueror, and then we withdrew from that league to come to play in this league, and I got kicked because originally he thought that I was only going to play in that other league, but then I told him, nah, I'll stay here. So he brought me back. I ended up originally I started off as a sub, but then the starter mid laner, who was Puka, turned out to be a dirty smurf. So without a starter mid laner, it basically just became me, and then I took over, and here I am.
So was that like was it kind of like a reckoning when so first off, actually, did you know that he was a smurf in the beginning?
No, I had no clue.
Okay.
Not at all.
After that was discovered, and then there was, of course, that slot you had to fill, was there, like, any pressure to you? Like, saying, hey, I'm actually going to be a starter for Conqueror now. and I have some shoes to fill. Like, did that worry you at all? Like, were you nervous?
I wasn't really nervous, but then again, like you can ask like any of the Conqueror members. I have like a super cocky like vibe to me, and I think I'm like the best in everything. So basically, I just kind of like, it wasn't like a nerve-wracking thing for me. So I was just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna pop off, I'm gonna show that I'm a force to be reckoned with. And then it turned out I had like a decent performance in the first week, and then people didn't really like start to notice who I was until I started playing Swain like every game, and then they're like, okay, this guy's actually pretty scary. So that's how I came around to be one of the better mid laners, I guess. I don't know.
That's good. Well, you did get a lot of votes for the All-Star match, and like I said before, you were real close to actually being added on that All-Star list, but for your first time to actually be in the league and for you to get that much recognition, that really speaks numbers for you. So you definitely should be proud about that, and know that there's a bunch of people out here in the league and in the duo community that actually love to see the Conqueror mid laner come out and
play more Swain.
Yeah. So all right, so moving on for that, what did you do during the preseason? Like, I know you switched from different leagues and all that other stuff, so like, what were you primarily like focused on during this preseason? Like, was it like you were trying to focus on your laning better, or your team fighting, or like probably shot calling perhaps? Like, what were you working on for yourself as a player?
I have a really bad habit of not learning how to play from behind, or not knowing how to play from behind. So when I get behind in lane, like I take a couple bad trades in lane, and I'm down in health. I have like no health advantage. I have no kill potential. I start to get really tilted because it's not something how I'm used to. So playing, definitely learn how to play from behind. So like I'd intentionally like sandbag in lane so I can learn what to do in these situations where everything around me is falling apart and I'm behind too, and just like trying to figure out how to carry. Like for example, the game in week 2 or 3, I think, it was off stream because it was a reschedule, versus EG. We flex picked Vladimir, which didn't go so well for Rutledge in top lane. And then it was basically put onto me, Gimpy, and Sparky at the time to somehow find a way to pull this game out. Like Rutledge was still doing his job, but he couldn't do what Rutledge normally does that you know of, which is split push, kill, lane advantage after lane advantage. He couldn't do that, so it kind of fell onto me and Gimpy to have to make one big play, and it was off stream so you didn't see it, but their biggest threat was their Anivia at the time, because Anivia was super far ahead. She was, I think, 3 or 4 items, and Gimpy lands this beautiful flash QR on Sejuani on her. I pull her, I press R, and I just walk in the middle, turn my brain off, do Swain things. You know what happens after that.
Right.
And we ended up winning the game in like 38, 39 minutes. But preseason, mostly working on in-lane stuff. Vision control is definitely a bad thing for me, because I had a bad tendency of not warding around my lane. I tend to do that solo queue mentality of, oh, if I just ward the bushes, the jungler can't gank me.
Right.
So I learned to, I finally broke that mentality probably like the later midpoint of the season, and now I barely get any pressure from junglers because I know where they are in the river most of the time. So.
So basically, like during this preseason, you're working on, like you said, you're laning a little bit better, and of course you're warding. Everyone, especially in BSG, it's common for everyone to work on your vision control, making sure that like everywhere is warded. Because of course, like Cute Pie always says, or what was it? It was like light the map play the map and map the play. Basically, is what he said. And he couldn't have said it no better himself. It's definitely something that if any team, especially in the BSG, can actually master, they have a huge advantage against every other team in the league. And really, it's something that I believe, like I said, something that every BSG player can actually work on. But it's glad to hear that you know this, and that you know that you need to still work on your laning a little bit better, that you know that you still need to work on your vision control. So it's good to know what your weaknesses are, so then you're able to actually work on that and fix it, and just overall become the better player, not just for your team, but for yourself as a whole. So anyway, last question for you before we actually move on. So how did you get called into Conqueror? Like way before the team was in another league, like way before Conqueror was probably even established at this point. Like, how did you get called onto the team to be either a starter or a sub at the time? Like, give us our story.
I think this kind of wraps in with how I got into BSG. Knowing of TiVo, knowing that he was starting up his own organization, knowing that he was definitely someone who knew the game, who knows how to form teams and how to find power players, and I think the record speaks for itself. I think he did a pretty good job in doing that. Basically, I asked him if he was planning on making any team to participate in that other league that I was talking about, and he said yes, and I was like, okay, I'll take a sub spot, because he already had a starter mid at the time. So I took the sub spot, and then a bunch of stuff happened, and here I am now.
Okay, seems like you had quite a ride in the beginning.
Yeah,
and definitely.
It was wild ride, definitely, for sure.
So, glad to hear that you actually got to where you are now, like especially for that rough ride at the beginning.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
All that. So, really take pride in it. Like I know everyone can say that like you're kind of egotistic and like you are really like, hey, this is like you're out there with a chip on your shoulder, but that's not always a bad thing. Like that's what some of the viewers actually like about some players. Like they actually like how they have that chip on my shoulder mentality. Like if you want to be the fucking best, come and get it. Yeah. Like, you know, and that's really a good, that competitive spirit is what a lot of the viewers actually want in a player. They don't want to be like, they can be fans of like the nice guy, like that says like nice all the time or whatever, but there always has to be that
the one ego.
Anti-hero that he's on good terms, but when you actually see him, he's doing really questionable stuff.
Yeah,
but
that's definitely me.
That's exactly, but that's what most of the fans actually look for. They look for that anti-hero to go and support, and I think you definitely fill that shoes for Conqueror, and it's good that you're able to make that name for yourself on this team. So now I'm gonna go ahead and move on to asking you both some questions. This is gonna be pertaining still the whole entire season. So this is no longer preseason, beginning season. This is out of the entire season as a whole for Conqueror. So really my first question is going to be, are you surprised about this season? Because like I said, at the beginning of the season, you guys were a new team that came into the league. We came out with a whole new draft system, and it was like, all right, this team's going to go into this division, this team's going to this division, which last season, it was primarily one whole division. And if you were made in the top 6, I believe, then that's when it was like the single round elimination and playoffs and stuff like that. But here, now that we actually had the divisions, now we have to play our teams represented from each division. And once your name got pulled for the Baron division, of course, like I said, this team is new. I don't think they're really going to be performing well. Like, they're probably going to have a little bit of complicated issues. I don't know who the hell any of these players are. So just really tell me, are you guys surprised of how Conqueror did this season? Like, are you, like, was there stuff you could have done better? Or, like, were you guys perfect throughout? Like, you're proud of where you got? Tell me through that. Jester, we'll start with you.
When I got on the team, I saw that we carried out of top lane, and I felt, it was a little scary because I saw how strong our top lane was, and, you get that feeling, you're like, oh, I'm going to get carried in this game. It's going to be so easy. Right. But the thought in the back of my mind was like, okay, what happens if he doesn't carry or his mid lane doesn't carry? We're going to get screwed. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want that to happen, and we couldn't pull it off bot lane. So, when we got Jocko, it felt like a hole was filled that we needed to just, feel successful. And once we got that, I kind of knew that, I felt we had it. I thought we were pretty strong after that. We felt complete. A couple of games were a little rocky. We didn't have the synergy yet.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting there, and now it feels like we're pretty one of the top teams. Yeah, feel like we deserve to be there.
All right. What about you, Phoenix?
Personally, I wasn't really that surprised about our performance in the regular season. Everyone from the get-go performed extremely well, super solid all around, except for maybe like a few games. Everyone always has their like one bad day or their one off game or a few off games. So with that being said, I expected us to make it this far after a solid start to the season. Mm-hmm. We got a huge momentum going after the first 6 weeks. We were on that undefeated. We were undefeated. We barely lost. I think we were like 6-0 or 6-1 or something. And even losing some of these games that we thought we should have won, we didn't lose the momentum. We kept going. We kept striving to be better. We kept scrimming. Every time after we lose, we go through like an intense boot camp of constant scrims, constant practicing, always playing together, trying to improve so that next time if we meet another team like that again, we don't lose, or another situation that caused us to lose, so we don't lose. We also had a lot of tension with the staff early because we almost got kicked out of the league in the beginning of the season. So with that being said, I think coming back into the league after all the tension with the staff shows that we're a real team. We're here to play. We're not here to mess around. We're here to take everything.
Okay, good to hear from both of you that you still have, even now, before your owner, I was talking to your owner before we even started this interview, you guys are still hyped beyond belief to actually get this playoff started and actually just get this ball rolling and get this hype train right down the rails and stuff.
Yeah, we can't wait. We just want to start playing. We want to go.
So, and that's what I'm liking about Conqueror right now. Your guys' hype never seems to die down in this case, and like it's not like, okay, we're just gonna go in, we're gonna just do what we normally do and just stop. No, you guys are like, oh, we're gonna go in, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna pull some crazy stress that we haven't even shown all season. Like, this is best of threes. Like, this is gonna be just a bloodbath like that. Mm-hmm. I love to hear that from a team. I love to hear that energy and that excitement, because it then gets me hyped to watch you guys perform and to see if you guys can actually do these exciting things. I don't know, it just gives me goosebumps just even saying it. But Conqueror in itself is definitely a team that was pretty feared throughout this entire season. You guys actually... So this is something that I actually got from AOL when I was interviewing them. So there was like this certain kind of bar set in the Elder Division. Take for granted, Elder Division, I'm pretty sure we can all agree right here, Elder Division wasn't nearly as competitive as Baron Division was.
Elder was like... There was like 3 teams for Elder that were guaranteed almost top 3, and one of them is pretty much non-existent now and was replaced by Dota's Demons in the playoffs.
Exactly. So if anything, the more than likely the whole bracket on the Elder side, it's kind of, we all know who's probably going to advance to the semifinals and whatnot, and who knows. Yeah. I mean, there might be some upsets because it always happens in the playoff season, especially for best of 3s. No longer no best of 1 format, but the thing is that with so much hype that DUO Esports is giving to AOL, they were like having a bar set from that team saying, oh, well, I don't think they're as good as AOL level. Like, OC Nation still needs to get up there, or Naughty Nip still needs to get up there. Like, AOL was like the standard for all of DUO. Mm-hmm. Like, if you were performing at an AOL standard, you were like the best team in the league. So, like, what was, like, the team's thought process through that? Like, is AOL really that good? Because when I think of it, when you look at both sides of both teams, you got 2 carries against each other in the top lane that could go either way. You got relatively even junglers who can both do exactly the same thing. You got some very active mid laners that can change a team fight in a blink of an eye. And then you got a whole bot lane that can really start a fight when they really need to and position when they have to. Like, you guys are basically even when I think about it statistically and when you guys perform. Like, what's the team's thought process of that AOL standard? Like, how do you guys feel about that? Phoenix, you first.
It's definitely like the whole AOL standard is if the entire team's not playing like a god, then it's not AOL standard. I think AOL was definitely probably, I would say, a little too overhyped for most of the season. Some of their games, I'm not sure if they purposely sandbag so like a KDA farm, but I definitely see there's definitely some faults in AOL's play. And I mean, granted, when we played them, they used, I think, 2 or 3 E-subs and were late because of it. So they lost almost everything. So we got all of our power picks. We got everything that we could have asked for in a game against them.
Right.
But with maybe if AOL potentially had their full roster, I think that game would have been more than just I think it was like a 22-minute curb stomp by us.
It was a curb, like, you guys definitely curb stomped AOL. I mean, and take it for granted, they still had Seaver in the top lane. They still had, I'm pretty sure they had their starting ADC as well, but then other than that, like, it was just emergency subs. But even then, you still had that carry potential in the top lane, and then they still had that carry potential even for their ADC. But of course, under circumstances, they couldn't really perform as well. So I kind of agree that you guys didn't really get a full experience of actually facing the god tier, as DUO says, of AOL, like most teams have unfortunately had to go through. Because I'm pretty sure this entire season, AOL have only lost games due to some of their starting lineup not
roster
being there.
issues. Yeah.
So, really, I do agree. AOL definitely shouldn't be that overhyped, really, because really they're just like any other team. I mean, for example, you guys got the #1 seed too. Like, why is there no talk about Conqueror? Like, there's a standard for in the Baron division. Conqueror is up here, and Naughty Nips is like down here. Like, they need to get up to Conqueror level. Like, why the hell does it have to be always AOL? Like, if they're performing just as good as AOL. Jester, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts on it are kind of what you just said. It's like, you know, if you look at the team's wins, like ours compared to AOL's, it's basically the same. You know, it's a bronze, silver, gold lead. If they were that much better than everybody here, they wouldn't be gold. So everybody in this league has a chance to beat anybody. That's how I see it. It's more consistent based on how many wins you have. Like, we went into games just thinking everybody's the same. Okay, we don't give them any leeway, and we just take what we can to win. That's why we're here. We don't underestimate anybody. You know, I can't do that because I'm a support. All I can do is just try to keep everybody from dying. So I have to go in there and just be like, I can only do so much, and I'm going to try my best. You know, if I hiccup, I got to bring it back because we can't underestimate them. You know, if we're ahead, keep on going because we can't underestimate them. Anybody can pull a game out here. Skill level is like nearly playing like plain. You know, there's going to be ups and downs in skill level, and those are the teams that are going to be on top. But at some point, there's a ceiling.
Right.
Okay. I think we're up there at the ceiling, and I think AOL is also at that ceiling.
Right. And really, when you think about it, though, it's actually good that Conqueror didn't get as much hype as AOL did, because when you think about it in the bigger picture, if a team gets that much hype and that much backup from even everyone from the whole duo server and even from the community, when they lose, like, after they got their first loss, like, everyone was shocked. Like, even when, like, they didn't have all their starters even, like, they were making the excuse, oh, we didn't have our stars. If we had our stars, it would have been different and stuff like that. Like, but still, to not have that recognition and not to have that spotlight on Conqueror, I think it put a lot of pressure off the team itself. So, like, if you guys did lose, it would just be like, oh, well, Conqueror lost to frickin' Lobster, or Conqueror lost to whoever the hell you guys else lost
Skill
to.
Cap.
Yeah, Skill Cap and other teams like that. Like, still, it wasn't as much backlash against you guys because no one from the league actually seen Conqueror as the team. Like, these guys are the example of what a good BSG team needs to be. And that alleviated a lot of pressure off of you guys, and I think that's how you guys were able to focus each game and actually go in there and avoid all the damn trash talk from all the other teams. Just go in there, clock in, clock out, bam, we beat you guys, who's next? And that's how I see it for when it comes to the standard. So you guys definitely have set a standard for yourselves, especially for the Baron division, for how competitive that division was this season. You guys had your own style. You were didn't really have to go off the backs of your top lane or your bot lane, for example. You guys could have depended on Phoenix if he needed to carry, or you could depend on your guys' bot lane to start team fights that were key, or you sometimes could have let Gimpy even carry some of the times. So it was like you guys always had that carry potential, and that's why I believe that a lot of players from Duo didn't really understand. Like, they were just like, oh, if we ban out their top lane and their jungler, they're nothing. Like, they didn't give your Conqueror's bot lane or mid lane even enough of recognition. Of course, it came around and it bit him right in the rear. So really, as I said, you guys set your own standard for the Baron division. It doesn't matter if Duo keeps on saying, well, there's an AOL standard and that's how the league should perform. But it's not about the league. It's about how a team performs in their division. And it depends on whether they do well in their division if they make playoffs or not. And, of course, you guys were able to become the #1 seed in the Baron division. And you guys perhaps... I don't know. I'll get to that later because we gotta actually start moving on about this. So from both of you, I want to know, what was your guys' highest high of this season? So why don't you go highest high, lowest low, so we can speed things up a little bit faster. Definitely share your good times. Share times where it's just like a little bit rough, where you didn't think that like the team would actually still be together, or just embarrassing moments like a failed flash over the wall, or failed ulti in a team fight, or you completely missed your some ability and it was just the most embarrassing ever. Like, just tell me your guys' good times, and like a good time and a bad time from this season. We'll start with you, Phoenix.
All right, so definitely, if you watched the game this past weekend, we had a little bit of fun against Naughty Nips. I pulled out the spicy Rakan mid against the Carcion's good old Bard, and there was one point early in the game. There was a 2v2 skirmish near their red buff on red side, and I dashed to... Joko was playing jungle at the time, and Gimpy was playing AD, so we had a bunch of fun in the game. It was so much fun. I dashed to Joko, and then I flashed over the little like bridge in between Raptors and the river, thinking that Gragas was going to head towards Bard, and flash W'd over the wall, and no one was there, and then I ulted and I whiffed that as well. So we were all just like question mark pinging and laughing at me because I missed everything. And then there was another, I'll say one more fun time. Rutledge was playing his Pike in top lane during a scrim, and he hit this point in the game where he was just like insanely strong and just did so much damage for like no reason, and he gets like a quadra kill off of just pressing R, and I was like, yeah, that champion's... We were all like sitting there just laughing, and we're like, yeah, that champion's so fun. We have so much fun. Like there needs to be, like, this is a suggestion for Duo, there needs to be like some... It's like what LCS does, where it's like you listen in on their comms like before game and after
Mic
game.
check?
Yeah, mic check. Yeah, they need to have a mic check. It's so much fun.
Yeah, they that was something that I was talking about with AOL as well. They wanted a mic check as well, and even though it would be like kind of not safe for work type deal, but still,
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we're all grown-ups here. We all play this game just for fun, and like we want to give the league a whole experience of what it's like to be in an LCS type of environment. And to
totally.
have something like a mic check would be hilarious, because most of the time when you have stuff like the tower dive, or you have stuff like top 10 plays, but then it's someone who's on a certain team, and then they do most of their plays from their team, and it's just like it gets bland. Like, you don't know how the other players from the other teams, like, you don't know their type of personality, and that's what's important about getting recognition from the community and getting their fellowship, because they don't know how these players talk to when they're in comms and stuff. And it's definitely something that I would love to see. Like, it's I don't know. Like, having a mic check and duo would definitely
it would be so. Definitely, people would be a lot more interactive within the league, because like there's some people that are on teams and I see them type maybe like once a month in the chat, and that's it.
Right.
But then there's other people that are talking like every day. So like being active.
And it's like the same players or the same people within the community that always talk. And it's not, and it's like, okay, like, you're just here doing your memes like on a constant basis, like, what's new? Like, and then I can't get any viewership, or I can't know how Jester of Time is doing in a game, or I can't know how Phoenix is doing in the game. The only thing I know about Phoenix is that he's an egotistical maniac, and he says, "Oh, you want to get this rear? Fucking come and get it, man." Like, that's like how I know from it. But to have stuff like the mic check, well, you could be the most hilarious dude like in all of Duo, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And that's what mic check can actually do to set that new standard and that find that new fellowship that the audience needs. But
for sure.
Enough time about you. You're hogging the spotlight right now. Jester, what was your highest high, your lowest low throughout this entire season? Shoot.
My highest high, I would say, would be like, you know, when I was playing Recon at some point, anytime I pressed R, it felt really good. I missed a lot. Felt good though. It looked cool, you know. But I'd say, I've said this a lot, but when we finally got Jocko on the team and he put on Jinx and we got in those team fights, I was like, whoa, we got this, yeah.
Fire.
Yeah, you know, the lowest part to counter that, you know, that came before we got Jocko was I don't remember who we were playing. It was me and Sparky in the bot lane, and we were playing against the Swain in the bot lane by himself because his support went off mid. I don't remember what team. Sorry to hear this, but we were diving under tower, and he presses R, and he got a double kill on both of us by himself. And I just like, that was the first time I ever felt tilted on this league, and I don't get tilted very often, you know.
Right.
Yeah, if I got tilted as a support, I'd lose my mind. But yeah, I think those would be the 2 points that I remember the most, you know. So that's what I would think.
Okay, that's good. Like you said, sometimes some teams do find that hidden spark that they really needed to actually turn a team around, or like to find that new synergy that team needed. And then once you're able to find that synergy, that's when everything was like uplifted, and that's a great feeling to have for anyone on a team. Like, once you find that one person that makes you laugh or makes you feel comfortable playing with them, that makes you more confident to go in there and start that team fight, or go in there, or even to go in there and ward that tri-bush, or to clear that vision ward that's been sitting there for the past 10 minutes. As long as you know that he has your back, I mean, that could be, I wouldn't say life-changing, because it's like, I'm going to clear this pink ward. Oh my god, my life is turned right around.
It just makes you feel like you have something like to hold on to, like you can do it. Finally.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's that confidence that everyone searches for.
There you go. Yeah.
So, all right. From both of you, I don't care if you guys choose the same person. In both your honest opinions, who is your team's MVP through this entire season? Now that you guys finally made it in the playoffs, who is your guys' MVP? Jester. It's gonna be hard. I know it's hard, but don't worry. Like, the next question's easier. But if you had to choose one player throughout this entire season to be MVP, who would you pick?
I would have to say Rutledge. because he brings out any champion. It doesn't matter. We could throw him on anything, and he will. You don't have to worry about him. You know, you could play something maybe twice, and you look at the score. You're like, okay, I can't do that. Oh, he can. So you're like, okay, he could do that in the game too. You know, you just trust him a lot. He's kind of crazy. You know, he yells a lot, but I think it's just, you know, he brings the spirit with him. So, you know, you just gotta kind of look past the yelling, and you gotta be like, okay, he wants to win, so I should try to win too. You know, and he can do it, and he makes me want to do it too.
Right. What about you, Phoenix?
All right. I would say Rutledge too, but I have to give it to my boy Jester over here. He managed to keep bot lane contained, even when we had issues finding a stable bot lane that consistently performed well, and it made him look underwhelming because of the underwhelming performances by his lane partner. So now that we've hit this point where we have a stable bot lane, he's been tearing it up and having so many clutch game-saving plays and engages that turn fights for us as well. So I got to give it to him.
Oh, that's so sweet. Look at that. You're making him smile and shit. Well, that's good. That's good to hear. Definitely admiring your fellow teammates, especially like even if you guys did agree on Rutledge. Yeah, Rutledge is the best player on Conqueror. Like you can say that, but to actually do that for your teammate, to actually vote him, in your opinion, in your eyes, that he's your MVP of the entire season, then that speaks numbers. So really lighthearted, like a little bit of lightheartedness. I still see you as that guy with the chip on your shoulder. Don't worry about it. I got you.
Nothing
I got
changes.
you. Don't worry.
Nothing changes.
This won't leave the video. Don't worry about that. I still got you. So, all right, then moving on from that. Okay, since you guys voted your MVPs already, so now just pretty much tell me how each of your starting lineup, like, just tell me the thing that you like the most about them. Of course, Jester, you don't really have to go into much detail about Rutledge, because you just explained why you thought of him as your MVP. But throughout the list, starting from the top all the way down to support, not to include yourself, both of you, since there's two players from the league, I'll give you my perspective and from a viewer standpoint on how I see you guys perform as a player. So you can go ahead and you can skip yourself. Just go down the line of each of your teammates. Tell me your favorite thing about them and why you loved playing with them this entire season. We'll go ahead and start with you, Phoenix.
All right, so, oh boy, with Rutledge. Okay, so I did it as one in-game thing that he does that I like, and outside of game, like in comms, personality-wise, stuff like that. So, in-game, he has a super aggressive playstyle, is always looking to push his advantage in any lane at any point in the game, and that's a style I respect. I can't do that myself because I always tend to mess everything up. We have similar playstyles, though, in a way where we both are extremely mechanical, so I give credit to him for being able to pull it off better than I do. He also, outside of it, like Jester said, he's the spirit of the team. He always brings like his all. He brings like 130, 140, sometimes 150% to every game. He's always taking initiative, always looking to help the rest of the team improve as well. So that's what I respect from him. Gimpy, he manages to get lanes that shouldn't be winning ahead. He's overall a solid player. He always plays to fit the team. And there aren't many people like that because everyone wants to be the, oh my god, I'm the god carry, look at me, bow down to me player that they want to be. He's extremely funny, and he's definitely someone that I enjoy being around, like playing with, just chilling with in comms. Same with, I'm going to put bot lane together because they're both pretty similar. They're both super laid back and chill. When they talk, they don't talk much, but when they do talk, it's just like small jokes here and there. It's just laughing. It's just a fun time, and they're definitely two players that I enjoy playing with, and hopefully I play with them more in the future.
Okay, that's sweet. That's sweet.
Chip on the shoulder. Chip on the shoulder.
No, I think you was sweet tooth right now. You got a little sweet side to you, man. All right, what about you, Jester? Down the list. Go ahead and let it rip.
You know, I already said what, you know, how I feel about Rutledge. You know, he's dependable. He brings the fire. Talks most of the time. You know, he carries a lot of games and like instills the feeling of carrying in everybody that he's on a team with, basically. you know. So that's how I feel about him. Gimpy, you know, rarely see that guy pretend, but when he does show up, it usually means, you know, he got our back, and we're gonna do something when he gets there. It doesn't matter what champ he's playing on. He shows up, we're gonna get something done. You know, he's reliable. Never worried about him, what champion he's on. It doesn't matter. He's got your back. You know, yells at me sometimes when I buy Moby boots, though. But you know, I like those boots.
You and your Mobies.
Yeah, he yells at me about you know, Mobies, but I like Mobies. But you know, everybody on the team is probably gonna sound the same when I talk, but everybody's pretty reliable. You know, Phoenix too. You know, when I first got here, I think the first game we played, he was playing Vlad. I looked at his score. I looked at top score. I looked at jungle. I was like, it felt amazing because my team were actually good, you know, compared to like people you see in solo queue where they're like 5 and 15. You're like, all right, I guess I'm just done here. You know, it didn't feel like that. Even if we were behind, we were pushed in towards our base. Their scores still look good. We could still do something with their champions. Even if they messed up on the map, they didn't mess up like on their champions. They could still do something. It felt like there's still a chance. You know, all my teammates give me that. Jocko, same thing. You know, pumps out damage every game. He's consistent. You know, sometimes, you know, he may feel a little down, but you know, I'm there to bring him back up. I'm the support. Gotta support it.
And that's the job of support. Always bring up
Yeah.
your ADC whenever he's tilting with you. Go back.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. He's my
got
little
this.
child. I have to cuddle him sometimes. You know, I gotta cuddle the team. You know, everybody starts yelling at each other. It's like, no, it's okay, I'm here.
Supports the big spoon.
Yeah.
Right. But Jocko, definitely best ADC in the league, in my opinion. All right, because he's my ADC, so I have to say it.
Yeah. Can't say otherwise. You can't really give out your all-star voting because, I mean, you probably got a little bit of a different ADC on there. But I still love you, Jocko. Don't worry. Like that. But okay. So you guys went through the number one thing you like about each of your teammates. So now, from a spectator's point of view, I'll start with you, Jester. Definitely, I'd consider you as a highly underrated support. So when I say that, I don't mean that you're the type of support that would, of course, go into a game and it's like, I don't know what the hell this guy's gonna do. Like, it was more along the lines of, I'm confident enough that the support will do his job. He'll be sure to put the wards down where they need to go. He'll be clearing that vision out. He'll be there for his team if any of them gets collapsed on. Like, you were definitely reliable in every single game that you have played. If your ADC was struggling, if your mid laner was struggling, hell, if even Gimpy was struggling, you were able to be there for your team. You were able to bring them back out of any situation that they were in. You were able to keep them in the game even when they were so far behind. You are definitely a reliable support for your team this season, and I believe that's what separates you from the other supports out there. Some of them are just there to be a heal bot, some of them are there to start a team fight, or some of them are there just to clear a vision, but you were there for your team. You were there to be reliable, to be there if they needed it the most. And by all means, that is definitely something that every support should have. And I don't know, you're perfect for supporting for Conqueror, in my opinion. So now, Phoenix.
That's me.
So my opinion on you at first was very sketchy, cause like I was kind of getting a highly egotistical stance on you, like, yeah, I'm the best mid laner out of everyone in the league. And I was thinking to myself, okay, this guy is, of course, he's an egomaniac. Of course, he's going to be like, I'm the hype. Like, I bring the hype. I bring the pain. I bring everything when you face Conqueror. I'm like, but that was something that I actually admired from a player. Like, you did play, like, you had something to defend, or like you had something that you needed to prove to everyone.
Had to prove I was the best.
Exactly, and that's like I said. That's what every player should do. But you were the one you were the player that was the most vocal about it. But the thing about that is that you just you say that stuff, but you also prove it in game. So you're a man of your word pretty much all the time when you go into a match. Because when you say that you're the best top lane, you're not top laner, excuse me, that belongs to Rutledge. So, when you say that, yeah, I'm the best mid laner, you brought the pain, you brought the skills, you brought that pressure to really prove that, yes, I am the best mid laner in this league. And if anyone wants to challenge me to that, then good luck.
Go at it.
Exactly. And that's something I like about watching you, because I knew that even if at the end of the day you still performed the best that you could, and even if it came down to like one single team fight that you guys lost and then eventually lost the game, or an early game that completely went to hell, you still did the best that you could, and you were still able to show everyone in duo that, yeah, I'm the best mid laner. This is why I need to get the recognition that I deserve. And that's something that I highly respect in a player. Doesn't matter if they are egotistic or not. That's everything that every player should have, and that's the competitive spirit that I admire and that I like to see in any player. Because not only does it give them recognition for their team, it gives the confidence that you need in yourself as a player to, even if you leave the BSG tomorrow or even at the end of the season, it's still going to improve yourself as a player to go out and climb in rank solo or rank flex.
It's
so
all
that,
if I could just add on to that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely, I would say, all mentality. Like, if you don't come out with a mentality like, oh, I'm the best, I'm gonna prove it, I'm gonna work my ass off, I'm gonna show everyone that I'm not a joke, that I'm here to play. I can feel it, like, playing most of the other mid laners within the league, that they don't have a mentality. Their mentality's really heavily reliant on, oh, we're playing against this team's a joke, or if we're playing against this team, this should be a free game. We go into every game, like Jester said, with no bias. We treat every team the same. We treat them all like if they're like an AOL level team, like we were talking about earlier. We have to bring out our best so that we can prove to them that we're better. And if some of these teams came out with that mentality, I think the playoffs would be completely different for the Baron division in the top 4. Elder, I'm not really sure about because of the skill differential, but in Baron, I definitely see, like, if some of the teams had that overall mentality that we do, I think the top 4 would be different.
Moving on to that, actually, now that we're actually getting into finally the playoff talk now, this is going to be just a really short segment. I didn't really have any questions for you guys in playoffs because who knows what the hell is going to happen in playoffs. You guys secured your first seed. You guys more than likely get the easiest opponent in all of Baron when it comes to playoffs. You guys are going to be facing Havoc for your first round. I want to hear from your guys' thoughts on anything that Havoc might bring. Like, are you guys nervous about Havoc? Do you think they're going to pull something out that you haven't seen them pull out all season? I know they were a relatively new team as soon as... I'm pretty sure it was the La Esques... I forgot what they're called.
Primates.
Yes, them. As soon as they collapsed, I knew they came in and then they took over, and then that's when the Havoc organization actually began. So I really want to know, coming into the playoffs for the first quarterfinals, is there anything that you guys are expecting out of them? Like, is there any of their top players are you worried about, or who you're going to be focusing? Give me a little bit of insight on what we can expect for the first round of quarterfinals. We'll start with you, Jester.
It's kind of like what I said before. You know, I treat every team the same. If I don't do something well, or we don't succeed in the bot lane, I feel like it's something I did. You know, whether or not they're good or not, I don't know. I don't research teams. I just play as best as I can every game. You know, I try to help Jocko out, do the same. You know, I got some spicy combos coming. I hope they're ready for it. You know, I've been practicing. I'm in the gym.
Okay.
Brain up here, you know, up here. But That's basically all I have to say. I treat everybody the same, and I hope they bring their best game because I want to have fun, and I hope they have fun too.
How would you rate their bot lane?
I don't know. I never researched anybody. I'm straight
Good,
up. I am.
good answer. Good answer. You're on level ground. Good answer. I like that. I like that. All right. What about you, Phoenix? Like, is there any player that you particularly have eyes on? Do you have something in mind that you're gonna pull out during this first week quarter? Tell me.
Honestly, you already know. If Swain's open, we're taking it. That's nothing changes. We're not here to mess around. So some of the time Swain was open, I didn't take it. But now it's playoff time. Everyone's in their serious mode. Everyone's trying their best. So we're gonna have to take what we're best at, our signature champions, if they're up. I think the thing that I'm most worried about with Havoc is if they pull out a pad comp. We've never played against pad as Conqueror, and Gwaine, I don't know, however you say his name. Gwaine. He's extremely solid. He came back into the league after taking a little break. Came back into the league, popped off, absolutely turned Havoc around. They had to play all those remakes. Gwaine pretty much for the most part solo carried all of those remakes, turned Havoc around completely, helped them make it into the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. I think by like one game. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think their bot lane is definitely the best part of them. I definitely think everywhere else they're mediocre at best. I definitely think their mid lane is relatively weak with Spartan. Mm-hmm. Other than that, though, I think this is my ego talking, but I definitely think that for the most part, that if we shut down bot lane, the game's gonna be over. Like the game will just be done. So if we shut bot lane down, I think hands down, we take the 3-set 2-0.
Alrighty, and I'm actually surprised with your response, Jester, for knowing that Gwaine can have the carry potential that he brought to the team to get them into this playoff spot. Definitely, I would see it as putting a little bit of pressure on you and your buddy in the bot lane. So definitely, my eyes personally are going to be in that bot lane during that match because I want to see if you guys can be able to contain that man, and hopefully you guys can be able to perhaps raffle stomp them in maybe 2 games. Maybe is the game going to be going to best of 3? Like, what are you guys thinking?
Well, I hope he's ready to be locked down for a really long time. Hint, hint. But yeah, again, like I said, I look at the champions that people lock in and not really the player behind the champion.
Right.
Because I know what my champions can do. Whether or not how they perform is all on them. I can only do what I can do.
Right.
Like, to my champion's extent. So I'm going to try my best no matter who it is I'm playing against. And if I didn't do my job properly, that's just on me. It's not really like, I wasn't better than them. It's just I didn't do enough. So if he wins, I don't know if we're going to win. I hope so, because I think, we got what it takes.
Okay, so am I predicting a 2-0 Conqueror?
I don't know, but I'm thinking it's looking pretty solid.
This man's playing games.
Yeah, it just doesn't want to answer. I get it though. Avoiding the question. Don't want to cause as much tension, but I know one man who will do it. Phoenix, what about you? What are you predicting?
Realistically, I feel like it'll be a 2-0, but I mean, Gimpy always says that people can beat anyone in best of 1, so I think first game possibly could go to Havoc. But other than that, we adapt super well in 3 sets because we do 3 sets all the time in scrims. We're used to adapt. We're used to adapting. We're used to changing how we play. So if we can do that throughout playoffs, I think it's just an easy sweep to finals.
I'd love to hear that, guys. All right, so this has dragged on a lot longer than I really wanted it to, but really, both of you, thank you for taking time out of your days to come and do this. Definitely a new series that DUO has actually came out with. It is a pleasure for me to interview both of you, get to know both of you as players. Definitely, in my books, you both are #1 in the positions that you're actually in. You guys secured first seed, You guys put up great numbers this season. Y'all have made a name for yourself as Conqueror, as an organization within DUO. I wish you guys the best of luck in your division. Go out there, stomp like I know you can, and really thank you so much for being in here with me.
Thanks for having us. It means a lot.
Yeah.
Alrighty, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Playoff Hypes. My name is Sievert.
But actually catching out Gimpy
Oh no, Gimpy's health bar just gets evaporated right before Let's Bounce comes through. But Forest Esports are having the fight that they're looking for. Gimpy respawns. Is he able to get what he needs to in time? The bottom lane on the side of Conqueror Academy, able to free fire. Jocko Laco survives and gets a triple kill for his team.